Welcome students. So today we are going to develop two programs. Before we can switch to the other chapters, we need a good hand, a good practice on programming with the if statements and the loops, nested loops. So we have to do certain programs so that we have a good practice on it. So we will take two programs. We'll try to take two programs. That is the question one, the program to accept n students and count the students in the group that is between 6 to 12, including 6 and 12, 13 to 15, and 16 to 17. So these are the age groups. So what we need to do is we need to write a program, and that program will read the age of students, of n number of students, and then we have to keep a counter which will keep on counting the students age accordingly to the category. Like 6 to 12 will be a category, the second category is between 13 to 15, and the third category is between 16 to 17. That is including the numbers, okay, the lower and higher numbers. So how we can do this? And then the second program will be like finding the sum of the sequence, that is 1 plus 1 by 1 factorial plus 1 by 2 factorial. It goes on till 1 by n factorial. So these are the two programs we will try to cover up. So let us start with the first program, that is to accept n number of students, and basically it is accepting the age of n students. That's the proper question. So let's begin. We will accept age of n number of students. So I will start with, so first thing is we are going to ask the user how many students. Okay, so let us do that way. N is equal to, I will say int input, and then the message will be enter how many students. Now that's the first message, and the user is going to enter a number. For example, the number is 10. After accepting this number n, after the user enters the number, we are going to make use of a loop, and the loop will go till n. Okay, inside this loop we are going to accept the age group of the students. So how we are going to do that is, I'm going to say for I in range, and I will say n. So this is basically going to iterate from 0 to n minus 1, right? So this is a range function which is going to generate a series from 0 to n minus 1. Since it starts from 0, so we have the count n. Okay, and then inside this I'm going to say something like this: age is equal to int input, and I'm going to say enter age. Okay, so if you really want the message to be like enter the age of student 1, student 2, student 3, and so on, so what we can do is enter the age of student, and then I want that 1, 2, 3, and the numbers to follow. Okay, so what I will do is I will go over here, and over here I will take a variable that is number, and I will be initially 0, so I'm going to make this as 1 because user is not going to assume from 1 and not from 0. And then this number I will be converting into a string. Okay, so the function that we have is the str function, which will convert this number into a string. So this will be 0 plus 1, and that will be converted into a string, and then we are assigning that number to the variable which has the name number. And then what I can do is I can say enter age of student. Since this is a string, so what we are going to do, I'm going to join this string with the number string. right? So this will be enter age of student, and then there is a concatenation that will be performed out here. Enter age of student 1, and then again I will join in another string, that is a colon. So that will be like, ending with a colon, and then the user will be entering the age. After we accept the age, the next step is we have to check whether that particular age is in which category it falls. Okay, and we can also do this way, like we can tell the user to enter the age between 6 to 17. Okay, so that is the, a message to the user that the user has to enter a number between 6 to 17. If the user enters some other number, we will handle that also, but first we will just handle these categories. Now the first thing that we will do is we will use a if statement. So if, and then the age, if it is greater than equal to 6, and the logical operator age is less than or equal to 12. That is the first category. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep a counter. So I will call this as counter 1 and initialize that as 0. Counter 1 will be counting the category for the category 1. So category counter 1 for the first category, counter 2 for the second category, and counter 3 for the third category. This is what we are going to do, and I am going to assign this before the for loop. Okay, that is very important. So this will be my counter 2, and this will be my counter 3. So now we have 3 counters, okay, which we have just initialized, or we can just initialize before accepting the, the number n from the user, though it will not make any difference. Even if it's after the this particular statement, it will not make any difference, but initialization normally is done before actual start of the program. I mean, when we actually accept some data from the user, before that we do the initialization work. Okay, so I've just shifted that as the beginning of the code. Now we have 3 counters, that is counter 1, counter 2, counter 3. This is for the first category for 6 to 12. This is for the second category 13 to 15, and the third counter is for 16 to 17. So if this particular condition, that is if age is greater than equal to 6 and age is less than equal to 12, what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the counter, that is plus equal to 1, that is for the counter 1, right? Because that's the counter that I have for the first category. Okay, and just for the information, I'm using this IDE, that is a PyCharm, but you can use the same IDE that you're using. It will not make any difference. Okay, so that's the counter 1. And now, okay, this is just like, I'm using a PyCharm, so it is expecting me to ages. This is not an error as such. Okay, this is the way we can do it, but I would suggest to do it the same way that I did before. Okay, let's not go this way. Okay, let me just, okay, let us keep it this way. That is the and, that is the logical operator. Okay, then if this condition doesn't get satisfied, I'm going to use a elif. And when will this elif get executed? Only when this particular condition goes false. So I'm going to copy the same thing and paste it out here, and I'm going to say if the age category is between, that is what, 13 and 15. So it's greater than equal to 13, but it should be less than equal to 15. If that is so, I'm going to have a counter 2 to get incremented, and then at the last if paste the same thing I pasted, and then it will be 16 and 17. That's the third category, right? 16 to 17. And then I'm going to increase the counter, that is the third counter, plus equal to 1. And at the last I'm going to give a else part, which will say that invalid input. So if user gives anything other than this, it will be an invalid input. But then what is going to happen is, if for 10 students, if there is an invalid input for one of the students, so now the user can only input 9 data for 9 students. Okay, that is what is going to happen. But even that we can solve the problem if we strictly want to accept the data for 10 students if n is 10. So that we will do it later. First we will just complete all this. Okay, this is counter 3. So that's it. Okay, and then what we'll do is outside the loop, let's come outside the loop, that is over here. We are going to print the messages that the age of students, and I will simply say bracket. I'll copy this and paste it out here, give a colon, and then give a comma after the message, comma, and then I will display the counter 1. And now I will simply copy this and paste it. So that's the second and third. Simply I will change the values, that is 13 to 15, and counter I will display is 2. This will be 3, and the age category will be 16 and 17. Okay, so that is how we have got this. So that's the first program. Now let us test this particular program. What is going to happen if I enter a number n, that is 10? The loop will iterate for 10 times. So it is going to ask me data for 10 students because we are accepting the numbers inside this loop, right? So let us run this and check what is happening. And here is the program that is getting executed. The output, you can see it. Okay, so enter how many students. So I will say 10 students, and now you can see it is asking me for the category. Enter the age of, it is asking me to enter the data for the first student, that is enter age of student, and you can see that 1 out here. Okay, and we are just indicating between 16 to 17. You can make this message in a much proper way if you want. So I will enter maybe 7. Then it is asking me for the student 2. You can see it out here. I will enter 15. I will enter 7, 9, 10, 12, 14, then 15, and at the last I will give 17. And now, okay, we don't have any output. Why we did not have output? Okay, we had output, do not worry. Okay, so the age of students between 16 to 12 is 5, and you can see between 6 to 12, if you really count it, it is going to be 5. The age of students between 13 to 15 is 4, and the age of student between 16 to 17 is only 1. Is it so? See, this is between 16 to 17, so there was only one, that is 17, and so we have the output as 1. So this is the program, how we can do it. We can take it more further. If there is invalid input, then again it will ask for the valid input and all that. But let us keep things pretty simple at this moment. Okay, so this is the first program that we have. Now let us switch to the next program, and that is a program to find the sum of series, that is 1, then 1 by 1 factorial. It goes on 1 by 2 factorial till 1 by n factorial. So we are going to accept the number n and then calculate this particular series. How we can do this? Okay, let me just take another program. and I will do that over there. So I will name this as series or sequences or series, whatever it is. Okay, so this is the question, and now we are supposed to develop a program. So I hope this is very much clear to you. Another thing, children, that now you have to keep a practice, and the practice is giving proper comments to your program. Okay, how to give proper comments is using the hash. So I will say over here, and this is actually very important. Normally when you become a very when you develop some small programs, you normally avoid it, but when you develop a huge software, okay, so always the comment should be there, because that explains the code, because multiple people work on the same project. So you should always carry this habit of commenting your program. So now onwards, what we are going to do is we are going to comment every single program that we are going to do. So let us just comment this program. How to comment? Okay, this is the first line of code. So I'm going to comment this like variables to count the category. Okay, categories. Simply you can do this. So if you want to explain more about it, you can say counter 1 for the age group so and so, counter 2 for age group so and so. So you can write it over here. This is to count age, that is 6 to 12. And then you can do the same thing for the other variables also. So what happens is, if you kind of submit such a program to your teacher or to your seniors, or in future you're going to submit to your boss maybe, right? So what happens, anybody who goes through this code is going to understand what exactly you're trying to do. So this count category will be what, between 13 to 15 and 16 to 17. So now this is like, we know, it's pretty clear that this is a counter to count age between 6 to 12, 13 to 15 and 16 to 17, that is counter 1, 2 and 3. And then the next step we are going to have is accepting or accept number n from the user. That's the comment. And then starts with a loop, and I will say loop to take input for n, take input for n students, that is what, age, right? And then inside this we're going to say that is number. So I'm going to say a variable number to display the student count. Student count basically will mean like student 1, student 2 and so on. So now this is like, quite easy to understand, isn't it? And next time what happens is, when you develop a program, and if that program is a bit long, the next time when you again work on the same program, then you get confused that what was the code that I did for this, what was this line of code, for what purpose I did this, right? A lot of confusion arises. But when you give proper comments to your program, what is going to happen the next time when you visit that same program, you go through the same program, just by reading the comments you can understand, okay, this is the line of the code, the reason that I did this is for XY reason, right? So this is why it is very important to give comments to your program. So this is, converting number to string, and then we are going to accept age from the user. Okay, age from the user, and then over here we are comparing the value with categories. That's more than enough with categories. And then you can write it over here if counter is greater than equal to 6, or you can simply increment, or simply say increment the counter, because the code itself is quite readable. If age is greater than equal to 6 and age less than equal to 12, increment the counter. So I'm going to copy this and going to paste it out here. And then we are going to display the output. Okay, so that's what makes the complete program. Now you can see this is a program which is well commented, right? So we have given a lot of comments to this. This is a very self-explanatory program, you can say. So anybody, you submit such a program to your teacher, so the teacher can easily go through, okay, what all these codes you have done for. And this is always a good practice, not only at the school level or at the college level, but when you actually work on a bigger projects, you're working with some software firm, so they strictly follow these norms that all the code, the complete code that you write, it should be properly commented. Okay, so always have this practice from now to give proper comments to your code. So this is what we have. Now we can switch to the next program, that is finding the series. But since there is a time problem, what we will do is just we will do some initial part of the program, and that is we are going to accept the number n from the user. So let us have the same code. I'm going to copy this and going to paste it out here. Okay, so we are going to accept a number n from the user to generate that particular series, and then the question is to find the series 1 plus 1 by 1 factorial, 1 by 2 factorial, and so on. So obviously we require a loop, so I'm going to say for I in, that is range n. Okay, this time I want to start from 1 and end till n minus 1. Okay, so okay, but this will go till n. Okay, fine, that's perfect. So what we need to do next is, now it should be 1 plus 1 by 1 factorial. So quickly we will just do the coding, and then next time we can do the commenting part. So I will say if, let us have a variable that is sum, or something like sum of series is equal to 0. Okay, and then sum of series, and then what I'm going to do is if I is equal to 1, which initially it will be, I'm going to take sum of series as 1. So that is, I'm doing it for this number, that is 1, and then from the next time it should be 1 by 1 factorial till n factorial. Okay, so what I can do over here is I will start this from 0. Let us see if this works, and this I will take it as 0. If I is equal to 0, sum of series will be 1, and then else next time what I'm going to do is it should be 1 by 1 factorial, and so on. So first thing, in the else part I need to calculate the factorial, that is 1 factorial, right? And next time it will be 2 factorial, 3 factorial. So this is I, right? Now over here initially I was 0, sum of series became 1. Now next time I will be 1, And now I need to calculate the factorial of I, because you can see the I is initially 1 factorial, then I will become 2, so 2 factorial. So basically we need to calculate the factorial of I. So how I'm going to do that is for, now you can see that this is a for loop. Inside this there is a if has a else part, and inside the else part I have another loop. Okay, so I'm going to say j in range, and I will start from 1 and will go till I plus 1 because I want that 1. Okay, so I plus 1, and over here I will say fact is equal to 1, and I will say fact is equal to fact into j. Okay, now this is going to calculate the factorial. Then outside the loop, what I'm going to do is sum of series is plus equal to I'm going to say I. What is I? That is 1 divide by fact. And what is fact? That is I plus 1. Okay, sorry, I factorial. See, I is 1, and what is fact? That is 1 factorial, I mean to say, right? That is 1 factorial. So fact is 1 factorial and I is 1. So 1 divided by 1 factorial. It makes sense, right? And I'm going to convert this into a floating value because this is going to be a floating value, right? And I suppose we should keep this as a float. Okay, now that's done. And next time what is going to happen, let us understand. Okay, this I was 0, so sum of series became 1. Now then from the next time I will be 1, so this condition never gets satisfied. Okay, so I will be 1, so it will go over here, fact is 1, this will calculate the factorial of 1, and then I, that is 1 divided by 1 factorial, and it will be added to the series. Then I will become 2, again it will come to the else part, and this time fact is equal to 1 and it will go 1, this is 2 plus 1, so it will go till 2. So this will calculate 2 factorial, and this will be 2. Achha, this should be, if I am not wrong, always it should be 1, right? So I am going to make this as 1. So 1 divided by 2 factorial. Next time this will be 1 divided by 3 factorial, and so on. So now it's perfect, and then outside I am going to simply print the answer. The sum of the series is, and I'm going to say comma, sum of the name of the variable series. Okay, so that is what we are going to have. So now next thing, that's completed absolutely, but what is left is we have to give some proper comments. So in the next class we will be completing the commenting part to this particular code, and then we will run, execute and check everything is right or not. And this code looks absolutely perfect, not an issue, but the leftover part is very important, that is giving proper comments to the code. So that is what is left, so we're going to cover up that tomorrow. Okay, so let's meet tomorrow, let's complete this program, and then we will take some few more programs before we actually switch to strings, how to handle strings in Python. But this is a very this is going to lay a foundation for you, okay, because this is going to make you start thinking logically. So it is very important to develop these programs. So that's it for today. Bye for now.